Hurry up and buy. Alright guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. So today we'll be talking about Sony's latest powerful Sony ZV-1. This camera is absolutely great. I am officially Team Sony. I own the camera that I'm filming with, which is the A6100, coupled with the Sigma 16mm lens. That is obviously my main camera. And now I'm officially vlogging with this over my GoPro Hero 8 for now. At least indoors, that is. But this camera has its ups and downs. Yes, I'm saying I'm officially Team Sony on June 17th, 2020. But that could change if something comes out from another brand and I like it more. But just so you know, I am not in the market for any more cameras unless it's Sony. So the ZV-1 came out about a week ago, and I've been using it straight through since then. And in doing so, I've learned a lot about this camera. I've learned some things that I just really don't like, and I've learned some things that I really love. So the first thing I want to talk about that I don't like is, as you can see, it's not on here at the moment. I took it off just for the purpose of this video so I can show you, but the wind filter covers the mode and power button. It covers it up. So that's not really a huge deal, I guess, if you're going to be vlogging with this. If you're going to keep that wind filter on, the solution to that is that this camera will power on and off by itself. So if the LCD is facing this way, inside, you open it up, camera powers on. It's just that simple. The camera is powered on by itself. So having it cover up the power button, not a big deal. You close it, camera powers off. So, but the downside of that is the mode button is there. And this camera does have a mode button. It has manual mode, all these different modes, just like my mirrorless camera. So with the dead cat or the wind filter being so huge on the top of the camera, a little agitating, because if I don't want to flip that screen around to have it auto shut off, the camera will auto shut off as long as you have the LCD facing inwards, like this, covered basically. But if you don't want to, if you just go in and out, you're gonna have to hit that power button at some point or another. Anything can happen when you need to hit the power button. If you're using that wind filter, you're not gonna like it. It's gonna you're gonna have to dig and push the wind filter out of the way. Kind of, when you spend a certain amount of money on something, it can't be flawless, but at the same time, I would think they just would have put a smaller dead cat on there, wind filter. Nonetheless, that's one thing I found out quickly that was kind of annoying. But then I just used the auto off feature, auto on and off. And now the next thing is a major deal for me. This probably shouldn't be a deal breaker for you, but it's just forewarning. This is what you're gonna have to deal with if you decide to keep this on any tripod. So I bought the tripod for Sony. Bought this tripod with it, and the base of this tripod is huge. It's big, it's wide. So when you're putting it on to take the camera on and off the tripod, and you're probably thinking, Jay, well, why would you even need to take it off? Well, you want to get this SD card out. And it definitely is in the way. There's no way to take out the SD card without removing whatever tripod you're using. And I've got several tripods, and they all pretty much have a wide base like this because you want to keep the thing stable. And you probably could find a tripod with a narrow base, but with this camera, the tripod base is blocking. It's blocked either way. So there's no way for you to get your SD card out of there without removing a tripod. So that is a huge annoyance. And some might say, well, Jay, you could just use the imaging software and transfer your files wirelessly. Yeah, no, I could do that with photos, and that's what I do. But with video, the files are way too big, man. I mean, ridiculously big. It's just way too big. So, and they're in 4K, and it's just not realistic for me to try to transfer my files wirelessly with this camera. I've tried it, and it just takes forever. So, with that being said, those are the main things that I found so far that are kind of annoying. But I'm willing to deal with it because, for one, I've had to deal with that on other cameras. Now, the good part about the camera I'm filming with, the Sony A6100, I got it on a tripod, and I almost never take this mount off because I don't need to. I can access the SD card without even, it just pops open on the bottom, and I'm fine with that. But this is a point and shoot, and so if you're not using a tripod, you could very well just hold it like this and vlog, but I don't recommend you do that. I recommend you get some kind of grip. If you don't want to buy the tripod that costs $150, if you don't want to buy this $150 tripod, buy something like this that costs, this is my other tripod that I use for phones and putting cameras and things on it, but it has grip and it bends and things like this, you know. So buy something that, and this tripod feels great. Let me see if I can get you to see the texture on it. It's got like a rubber texture on it. It feels fantastic, super grippy, it bends. This is something that you can actually vlog with, and you get more handle, you know. So, and it's taller, so you can sit up higher. Find you a nice tripod, but with this camera, it really won't matter because the tripod is going to sit on top of the base where the battery goes. So, nonetheless, I like this camera, and like I said, I'm officially Team Sony. There is a lot to like about this camera. It doesn't just do good vlogs. It definitely takes great photos. I've taken some fantastic photos with this thing, and it just does very well. So I think, you know, for the small things that I pointed out in this video that I didn't like, this is totally worth it. I tell you right now, if you are thinking about buying this camera, hurry up and buy it. Hurry up and buy. Hurry up and buy. I really shouldn't make that joke, but nonetheless, if you're thinking about buying the Sony ZV-1, let's talk about battery life after a week. So we're going to talk about heating up, and we're going to talk about the product show feature now, and we'll talk about you know, the things that you might have a question with if you're on the fence about buying this camera. So first things first, with this part of the video is battery life. The battery life is good. It takes a little bit of time to charge, like most cameras. It's kind of a small battery, but still, you know, the battery life on here is actually better than I thought it was going to be. Because you hear people complaining about the battery, and this one is a 45 watt 1240. So it's a really nice size for this small camera, but it takes a little bit of time to charge, but I'm not deterred by that. I'm fine with it, because if you're just letting your camera charge, you've shot a lot of video or whatever, yeah, you should be good to go. Now, it does last me about, well, see, I'm not using it like all day, every day. So the battery on here lasts me, I can probably get several days of recording out of this thing. But if I'm going hard in a day recording multiple videos with this, which I've done before, it could, and depending on if it's really hot outside or where I'm filming at, it could get a little, you know, it could drain faster. Also, if you're shooting in 4K, it's going to get drained a little faster too. But turn your settings to high for the auto power off, and I'll talk about heating next. But you shouldn't even really be able to tell the difference. You should get at least 30-45 minutes minimum recording in 4K straight through with no issues. But 1080p, you're definitely going to get a lot more battery out of this thing. Now with the 64 gig card, I like the Extreme, the SanDisk Extreme. I like these cards. So with 4K, I can get almost 2 hours of recording off the 64 gig when it's wiped factory. Always factory reset your card in the camera. And then with 1080p, I can get almost 3 hours, I think it said. But, you know, I use the Extreme card, and, you know, it transfers fast. It reads and writes really fast, so no issues with it at all. But heating, if you're going to record in 4K, you want to make sure you turn your settings to, or just period, you want to turn the settings to auto power off to high. So you can just record, you know, until you run out of memory. You should be able to get a lot of recording time out of that, hours, you know. But as far as the camera heating up, I found that when I record outside, obviously it's like, here it's like 95, 100 degrees. The camera heats up a lot faster. It gets really warm to the touch. not hot, but really warm to the touch. And the camera, I always turn it off at that point. Like if I'm doing 30 minutes of recording outside or 20 minutes, I think the most I've done outside was maybe 15, maybe 30 minutes, and it got kind of warm. It did. But that was also before I had it set to the auto power off to high. I had it on standard and I didn't know that. So, once I did that, the camera still got really warm to the touch, but it just keeps recording. And it's not so warm to the touch to where it's uncomfortable to touch, So, the heating factor, it will warm up like any camera, don't be alarmed. Oh, it's not getting so hot that it's just going to burn up in your hand. That's not like that. The camera itself will definitely get warm, but you should be okay. And I'm telling you from real world usage. I'm not just doing a review and all that. I'm telling you real world usage. You should be all right with this camera. Even the Sony A6100, all cameras are going to get a little warm when you're using them. And I use them on battery power, so because I like the life of the battery that I get out of it. So this camera right here will get a little warm. Now, when it comes to the product show feature, this is a feature that, Sony kind of, they want you to, at least they're advertising, you don't have to do this, but they advertise it to where you're pretty much using it on this tripod. Is where they keep showing it. And the camera's kind of pointing up at you and you're showing things really fast. Well, to use the product show feature, you just hit that button, the delete button. You just press it once, and it'll turn on the camera. It'll say product show feature on. And I think that's a huge plus if you're into like the fast autofocus. Like this camera, my Sony that I'm using with, the lens, you have to find the right distance. It took me a long time to find the right distance from when I can put things in front of the camera quickly and have it focus on that. It took me a while, and for me, that's about 12 inches I can notice away from this camera to where it's focusing on whatever's in front of it. And depending on what color it is, it could seem like it's not doing it at all. You see? So I think the auto show or the product show feature on this thing is just ridiculous. It is just, they've done a fantastic job with the product show feature. Just hit the delete button, which is the C2 button, and boom, you are off and running. Now, one thing I wish they would have done on the remote of this remote that we purchased, I wish they would have put the C2 button up here too. I would have liked that as well, but they in fact didn't put the C2 button. They just put the C1, they put the C1 button up there, and kind of sucks because I like to be able to just turn it on. But I guess they figure you're going to be vlogging, you're going to be stationary, so you're not going to use the C2 button in order to, you're not going to be on the go hitting the C2 button, which I guess that kind of makes sense. But if you put this stationary, I still want to be able to reach up on the front and hit the C2 button. Yeah, minor, but it is what it is. No, it's not minor. This remote cost me $150, so yeah, it's not minor. But speaking of the C1 button, that is basically the blurred background button, and on the top of the camera, you can see it's this button right here. It's a button that just, you hit it and it'll tell you blurred background or defocused background is on. And then again on the remote, you can see hit the C1 and you'll see that the C1 button is obviously matches the camera and it's going to turn on the blurred background. So those two things with the autofocus, just mind blowing. It is just incredible. I'm just blown away at how Sony finally won me over with a camera. And they had already won me over with the A6100 that I'm recording with, and now they did this to me, so I ended up giving them more money. But the thing is, I could use this. When I go out and vlog, I want to vlog like this. Now, the last thing that it's not really so much a dislike. It's kind of I need to get used to it again. Because yeah, I still have the Canon over there, but I'm done with Canon, you know. But the flip out screen. I am not used to this all of a sudden. I like it on the top, but I understand why they would do it this way, because, you know, why not? You got to fit the stuff up top. You got the wind filter, blah, blah, blah. That's been a complaint for a lot of people with Sony cameras, but they got a microphone jack. So I don't understand it. They put the microphone jack on here, and then they still put the camera to flip out to the side. I don't know, man. It's personal preference. Some of you guys like the camera screen on the side. I'm used to it now being on the top and not the side. I find it more of a distraction, you know, because you're going to look at your camera. If you notice, and people who are shooting videos, they tend to look away from the camera. They're checking the viewfinder. And with Sony, almost all of them are up. Like, I think this is the first flip out camera on Sony that I can remember to the side. So it isn't a bad thing. It's just that I'm used to this setup now, opposed to my Canon. You know, I was used to it on the Canon because that's all I used was Canons. But now I got to deal with it on here. And I very well could not even flip it out. I can just power it on and, you know, start vlogging. You know, I don't have to flip it out if I don't want to. If I'm in a situation where, and that's the good thing about this, if I'm in a situation where I know that somebody might bump into me, I can just leave that closed, man. I'll just go ahead and vlog, because I know that this camera will autofocus and it'll be fantastic. So if you're in the market for buying the Sony ZV-1, I'm here to tell you, just buy it. I think you're going to be so impressed. You know, the things that I'm talking about that I don't like, they might not bother you at all. And some of the things I do like, you might not like them. So I think overall, is this camera worth it? The last point and shoot I bought was a Samsung, and it was my second camera that I bought for this channel. It was the Brown W350F. Gave that camera to my youngest daughter about a year ago. Still had it. It was still in the box, looked brand new. And I used that camera for my YouTube videos when I upgraded from another Samsung point and shoot camera. It was like a waterproof camera that I was using. But you go step to step, and your footage should get better over the years if you plan on doing this. And you should grow with your audio and just lighting. It should be a whole bunch of areas that you grow in if you're continuing to do this type of thing. So with this camera, I think my vlogs are now on another level. And remember, I used the Sony a6100 with the Sigma lens for my like sitting down vlogs like this. I can record all day with this camera right here with no issues whatsoever. And I think I'm going to be able to experience the same thing with this camera. This is a matter of, again, personal preference. And you're looking at someone, yes, I do tech reviews, but some things, I didn't have to review this camera at all on the channel. I could have just started using it, told you I had it, but I wanted to show you because a lot of people ask what I use. And ever since I switched to Sony, people say, goodness, man, it's so clear now. What are you using? And the official answer is, it's really the Sigma lens, you know, that I'm using right now. This is really the reason that I can get this type of look, because the stock lens that I get, the kit lens, I have it. I don't think I've ever, I think someone said in one of my comments when I first debuted this camera, they said, you'll never use that kit lens. And, you know, there are situations where I possibly could use the kit lens, but I just don't do it. I just don't do it. I don't have a need for it. I'm not even, it's still sitting brand new over there on my shelf or something. Put it on a couple times, never use it again. So the Sony ZV-1, for those that are on the fence about buying it, I'm here as a reviewer and a friend, if you will, a long distance friend or a long distance relative, or just that guy who turns on the camera and talks to you in a way that you could possibly understand it a little bit better without going through all the tech specs, C-log, and all these other things that I don't even fully understand, to be honest. But I've always told you, if I can turn on this camera and start recording and produce footage that's crystal clear, audio is good, and it's entertaining to you, you can do it too. And I think a start that you might want to make, if you want to go hard right away and you're on a tight budget, try your educator's discount. You know, I think a lot of places offer educator's discount. You can get this camera for really cheap. At least $150 off, $200 off, you know, of the $750 price tag that it cost. You don't have to get the grip. If you're on a tight budget, like I said, get a grip, get a tripod. This is actually a better tripod because it's got a grip. It moves around. You can put cell phone mounts up there too if you want to. It's got a bobblehead on it. You know, you can really find some good tripods. That tripod cost $11, I believe, from Amazon years ago. But if you want to go all in with Sony, if you got $1,000 or, you know, right around there, you know, I would tell you, start looking at a mirrorless camera first and get a lens like me with a Sigma lens. This lens costs $400. This camera was what, $750 or something like that. But you can get it with a kit lens, so you don't have to buy anything. If you want to upgrade your lenses later, you could. However, I say just do the all-in-one. I think this is, and honestly, let me just be perfectly honest here. If I didn't already have this Sony a6100, and if I wouldn't have already invested in the lens, I probably would have just gotten this. That's the truth. Now that I have it and I'm using it and it pretty much does the same thing, the blurred background isn't as strong as this, obviously. The Sigma lens crushes this little 24mm lens basically on here, crushes it. However, it's not slaughtering it to the point to where I'm going to tell you, don't buy this camera. No. This camera is totally worth it, and the blurred background effect, depending on where you're at and what you're filming for the blurred background, it could be really, really strong. It really can. So for those that are out there looking to buy this particular camera, I say go for it. Buy it, try it. Don't like it, you know what you get to do. Me personally, this isn't going anywhere. This has now moved to the #1 spot for vlogs, and especially showing things because it has the product show feature, and I absolutely love it. So there's a lot to discuss about this camera, but I can only tell you so much in one video. For what I use it for, it's just for vlogs. And I also thought that before I bought it, my feed was flooded with all these YouTubers, the media. They were given the camera. I had to buy it. They were given the camera. Not that I'm saying I'm better than them. I'm just saying they were given the camera either on loan or they just were given the camera. And this happens. This is okay. I'm okay with that at this point because that's just their point of view. If they're going to be a hype beast for a company, go ahead and be a hype beast. But your reputation is what you'll make of what you see when you see these people. If people are doing reviews, you'll determine whether or not you believe what they say. And when I looked at them, when this phone first announced, all of them already had it, which I get products early too, so I'm not going to be a hypocrite. However, tell me the truth. Didn't your feed get flooded with everybody saying this was the best vlogging camera? It just happened. So I don't know if it's the best vlogging camera, but the quality and the footage and the things that it offers takes it to a higher level than some others. So the GoPro Hero 8 Black is definitely something that I recommend to people at half the cost of this. That's if you're just really you're really wanting high quality, stable footage. Everything is going to be better like that on the footage might not be as strong as this camera, to be honest. But outside, I think the GoPro does better. But the GoPro doesn't have the blurred background effect, which is what everybody wants now. So the GoPro is a very strong option for everyone because you can get those for $200. You know, you can get the 8. You don't have to get the 8 Black. Just get the regular 8. I think they're 7-ounce, yeah. You're going to get great footage for your vlogs. But if you're focusing on this particular camera and Sony is on your radar, folks, I got to tell you, it took me a long time to switch from Samsung cameras to Canon cameras, and I think I'm really all in with Sony. I've given Sony a few grand here, a couple of grand, I think, for all my Sony stuff. This Sigma lens was $400, but I've given Sony a couple of grand now, a little over a couple of grand, whatever I've given them, and I think I'm, not because I spent the money, I think I'm all in because they've won me over. They did it. I am officially Team Sony. And if I buy another camera or if I buy another lens, it's probably going to be for my Sony a6100 because I don't really feel the need to switch cameras like that. I kept the SL3 I went from the SL2 to the SL3. And the SL3 is, like I said, it still sits over there. It'll get used for like photos or whatever. Or, you know, I think my wife's going to use that for whatever she's using it for. But I have no intentions on using the Canon ever again. I could have just bought one Sigma lens for my Canon, but I think it's more than that. I think Sony, now I just need to get my Sony Xperia 1 Mark II and make it complete. But I think Sony did a number with this camera. It's your man Jay. I hope you guys enjoyed this long extended look and review of something that I think you really should take a look at. And it's this camera right here, the Sony ZV-1. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.